All right, hello there, welcome back to another wee bit different video. Today's video, I can't stress this enough. I am genuinely impressed beyond words that I really can't. I just can't even put it into words how impressed I am with this team. Minnesota Timberwolves taking out the Phoenix Suns in a sweep. Now, in my original prediction, I had the Timberwolves winning in this series. I know a lot of people were really worried because the Timberwolves had not beaten the Suns at all in the regular season. But I, along with some other people, definitely foresaw the Timberwolves coming out of this. Reason being is their defense is amazing. Not only that, Anthony Edwards, I mean, you could see it from a mile away. This dude is just different breed. And after game 4, so we're going to talk about this game. We're going to talk about definitely, where do the Suns go from here? Honestly, I don't even have an answer for that. So I guess we're not really going to talk too much about it because where do the Suns go from here? This group is not enough. If you don't win today with KD and Devin Booker playing the way they did, how do you win it all against elite teams? And the Timberwolves are a clear-cut contender. Clear-cut contender. My original predictions, I believe I said, and I even told this to my cousins, told this to my brother, Timberwolves are the only team in the West who have a shot at beating the Nuggets. They're the only team. The Thunder are not going to beat the Nuggets. I want them to, have success. I really love seeing, young teams coming up and doing some serious work in the playoffs, but it's just rare. And not only is it rare, it's also very difficult to beat a Nikola Jokic-led team, period. As you can see with the Lakers, even with AD and LeBron playing really well. Nikola Jokic is a handful. Because Jamal Murray hasn't been playing great for whatever reason in the playoffs. He had a game winner, big time. But other than that, he hasn't been playing really great. I think the Timberwolves are the only team, again, not the Thunder, not the Clippers or the Mavericks. The Timberwolves are the only team who have a shot at taking out the Nuggets. And the Nuggets are up 3-1 against the Lakers. Looking to take on the series. I'm a Laker fan, for those of you who are not aware. So I hope the Lakers can prolong it as long as possible and maybe pull off the first ever comeback down from 3-0. Now, again, we don't need to talk about odds. The odds are obviously stupid low because it's never been done before, let alone against the reigning champs. But with that being said, I'm a Laker fan, so I'm always going to have hope. But getting into this Timberwolves team and seeing their performance, let's get into it. Game 4, Rudy Gobert getting into foul trouble, only 25 minutes. Didn't really have a great game, to be honest with you, but he was there defensively to, kind of scare off a little bit of the Suns' the opposition being the Suns' offensive players. Anthony Edwards, first half, a one to forget. Second half, a one that you cannot forget. Unforgettable. 31 points in the second half. Time after time after time, hitting crucial shots. Great defense. Playing his ass off offensively and then having to guard KD. Had a big block against Devin Booker late in the fourth. Cat played amazing. Jaden McDaniels had some clutch threes. Seriously, some clutch threes. Mike Conley had 2 big second half. I wouldn't say big, but he had 2 noticeable second half threes that were pretty timely, to be honest with you, to negate some runs and get runs started of their own. Nikhil Alexander-Walker, solid defense. Definitely forgettable outing for Naz Reid and Kyle Anderson, but for the best player on this team and the second best player, they showed out. And I can't talk about it enough. Anthony Edwards, whether it was in the interior, in the perimeter, whether it was your mid-range needing to take that shot, splash, splash, splash. Suns were doubling him. You have to remember, Suns have a defensive-minded head coach in Frank Vogel. That's how Frank Vogel led the Lakers to winning back in the bubble. Great defensive team. So this Suns team, they're not really well-equipped defensively, but you have a defensive-minded coach. So they were sending all kinds of, different looks at Ant, and Ant responded very well. If they were doubling him, He knew where to kick it out, knew who he was gonna go to. If they did not double him, he was gonna eat. And sometimes, there was a couple times where they tried to go for the double. Anthony Edwards kind of dribbled around it and cooked. So dude just went bananas. This team in general, in the second half, went bananas. They had, right there, 34 points, 32 points in the second half. But what did they shoot? I'm pretty sure their shooting percentages were really good. 41% from three. I'm curious as to what it was in the second half. 46% field goal. They beat a team who shot 51% field goal percentage. That is amazing. Granted, they had 46.1, but the Suns, they played their asses off. More notably, D-Book and KD. And I know we're talking about the Timberwolves right now and how good they are and how much contenders they're going to be, but if there's one player on this Suns team that was without question the biggest disappointment, and it would definitely be Bradley Beal. He had a horrific game 4. Terrible. Awful turnovers. And I'm talking about crucial times where you can't afford to do that. He shots that he could have had wide open and just missed. I think he was 4 for 13. Bradley Beal was awful. In terms of his plus minus, I'm kind of curious. Let's look up his plus minus. So Brad Beal had a team leading minus 12, and honestly, it was very noticeable. It really was. Defensively, he had a key block on Mike Conley. You could see him busting his ass defensively, but offensively, he's just not who he was in Washington. That 30 points per game guy, you just didn't see him this season. This season, he had 18 points per game on average. I understand injuries are frustrating, but when you're healthy, you're just not performing to the way that you were in Washington, and it is very disappointing because the expectation, obviously leading into the season, is that the Suns would not only get past the first round, they'd be legitimate contenders for the championship. And obviously, as the season progressed, you could tell very clearly Brad Beal was not the guy he once was. I think he's still 30 years old, so there's time, to get past this. But realistically, is that going to happen? I don't know. 6 turnovers, team leading 6 turnovers, fouled out obviously. Again, only 9 points, went 4 from 13, 1 for 5 from 3. Just a bad game. Awful, to say the least. D-Book played his ass off, 49 points. KD played his ass off, 33 points. But this team just, what do you do with this roster? You're locked into Bradley Beal for another 3 years. D-Book, he's superstar. KD, he's a superstar. But who you're surrounding him with, these guys are not good enough. Yusuf Nurkic is not enough. Royce O'Neal is not enough. Eric Gordon had some really unfortunate misses from 3 that really could have put this team over the top. Okogie is a role player, but that's it. Nazir Little shouldn't be getting minutes in a playoff game. At least not the one that we saw today or the series. So it's just one of those things to where I don't know where you go with this Suns team. I don't know how you fix it. And honestly, I'm glad I'm not a GM because I don't know where to start. You're not realistically getting rid of Brad Beal because you would have to trade assets to get rid of him because of his contract. Another key thing that I want to mention when talking about why the Timberwolves are just flat out contenders, if it wasn't obvious already, is their third quarters just unreal. What they do in the third quarters, let's take game 1. What they do in the third quarters outscore the Suns 31-21. Game 1, the third quarter. Looking at game 2, give me one brief second. Game 2, what they do in the third quarter, 28-20. Okay, so they're doing good. Game 3, 20-36. Timberwolves again. And this one, game 4, it was only 34-31. The Timberwolves were shooting the fucking lights out. Seriously, they were playing really well in that third quarter. The Suns were doing their best to match their intensity, but championship teams are always able to come out of the half and absolutely assert their dominance. Because obviously it's important how you start a game, but how you start that second half sets the tone and is just crucial. You look at these Nuggets games, Denver Nuggets in the third quarter are just, that's where they're killing the Lakers. Obviously in the fourth quarter as well, but that's where it starts because the Lakers have been up, I think, every game out of the first half, or at least it's really close. And then the Nuggets just really cut down on that lead in the third quarter. But the exclusion of game 2, well, even then, the Nuggets did cut it down to like 10 at the end of the third. Point is, these championship teams, Warriors are a team that is very notable how good they were in the third quarter. That championship Warriors team, what was it, 2 years ago now? Insanely good in the third. How you start that half really is important, and it does set a tone. And this Timberwolves team in this series, again, the Suns aren't a team that I think deserve to get swept in terms of their skill, right? I think the Timberwolves were just that good. They just upped their level and intensity and physicality that much more, and the Suns really couldn't deal with it. We're talking about a Suns team that swept the Timberwolves in the regular season. But again, come playoffs, when shit is getting real, very important how you respond, especially in that third quarter. That's where sometimes games get away from you. Look at that Magic and Cavs game. Magic came back and destroyed the Cavs in that third quarter. Let's look at the NBA playoffs in general, right? These teams that are winning, there's a separation in that third quarter, and that's important as hell. Bucks Pacers. Pacers separating themselves in the third quarter. Game before that would be Mavericks Clippers. I'm pretty sure the Mavericks actually won that third quarter. Yeah, Mavericks won that third quarter, which was really pivotal, which put them back in the game. Shit like this, if you want to be a championship team, that's not sustainable. If the Clippers do this against the Nuggets, I guarantee you the Nuggets aren't losing the first quarter by 23. It's not happening. So that's where I say these championship teams, they're winning the third quarters, right? You look at the Nuggets and the Lakers. Lakers lost the quarter by 2. Ended up winning the game, of course, but that third quarter is key. You look at the first 3 games, same thing for the Nuggets and Lakers. And this is the game I was talking about. Game 4. Magic outscoring the Cavs by 27 in the third quarter. I can tell you right now, the Cavs, even if they hypothetically speaking won this game, you are not a championship team when shit like this happens. You're just not. You got to come out locked in and ready to go. Because this, while of course it could just be missing shots, let's be honest, a lot of that is just lack of focus. You don't lose by 27 in a quarter without having just a lack of focus and a lack of wanting it, right? If you wanted it, you're not losing a quarter by 27 under any circumstances. That's just not happening. So realistically speaking, the Timberwolves are going to have a lot of rest. If the Nuggets win tomorrow, which I hope they don't because I'm a Laker fan. If the Nuggets win tomorrow, that's obviously not what the Timberwolves want because they want the Lakers to tire out the Nuggets as much as possible. If the Nuggets win tomorrow, they stay in Denver. They don't have to leave and go anywhere. They stay in Denver. Timberwolves headed to Denver. And that series would start in 4 or 5 days is my guess. Timberwolves, though, they match up great against the Nuggets if they do end up playing the Nuggets, which is more than likely going to happen. Nikola Jokic is going to have a hard time just bullying Gobert. It's just not going to happen as easy as he's been in the Lakers series because AD plays off ball, but then Nikola Jokic kicks it out to Murray, Porter, Gordon, guys like that, KCP. You know what I mean? Obviously, Gordon's not the biggest sniper, but a lot of the times they have Gordon hanging around in the paint area. Lob it to him. Keep it physical. But with the Timberwolves, their rotations are pure. So you got Gobert on Jokic. Jokic, even if for whatever reason is able to kind of do his thing against Gobert, which I think is not as easy for him because he is a pass-first player. Jokic is a playmaker. So I think he's going to be forced to kind of eat and get out of his comfort zone instead of facilitating, making the, plays that getting his teammates involved. With Jokic in particular, Timberwolves are definitely going to force him to eat a little more than he's accustomed to. And I think Gobert is kind of built for that challenge. A lot of size, a lot of length. Jokic is going to get his, but it's not going to be the way that they want it to go, to be honest with you, with the Nuggets in terms of that matchup. Jamal Murray, they got a lot of defenders in Minnesota. MPJ is not going to get his unless it's off of a, open pass. But again, this Timberwolves team with their rotations, Mike Conley, Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, they all move a lot. They are all over. And even then, when you put in Nikhil Alexander Walker, that dude plays his ass off defensively. So what the Nuggets like to do is they like to, again, get it to Jokic, let Jokic facilitate. They like to do a Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic pick and roll. It's going to be difficult for them to do what they've been doing against the Lakers, but instead of the Lakers, the Timberwolves, right? The Timberwolves are so well equipped to deal with the Nuggets. So well equipped, it's honestly crazy. That's why I think they're such a great contender, because if they beat the Nuggets hypothetically, that was the toughest opponent that you could come across in the West. Now, they would still have to beat the Clippers, Mavericks, or Thunder, right? Because the Pelicans are coming back against the Thunder. They would have to be one of those three teams, and I think they would. I don't think that the Mavericks have a chance against the Timberwolves. Clippers don't have a chance. Thunder, probably not. So this Timberwolves, this team is really, really gonna have to deal with one of the final bosses in the second round. But that's the hand that you're dealt when you get third seed. You don't get that home advantage. We know the Timberwolves are better at home. We know the Nuggets are better at home. You get the third seed. Made your job a little harder. But ultimately, you're still at 0-0. This is going to be a great series. And believe it or not, I've said it since the beginning. I think the Timberwolves are the only team in the West who could threaten the Nuggets. And I think they got a legitimate chance. By legitimate, I mean more than 25%, more than 30%, more than 40%. This, to me, is the definition of a 50-50 series. And that's saying a lot because it's the Nuggets and they're the reigning champions. And they're regarded all season long as one of the favorites, if not the Celtics. You know what I mean? Because the Celtics right now are like the favorites. But aside from them, you have to go with the reigning champs almost by default. But the Timberwolves, they're well equipped. I'm going to say that. Who would I have winning the series? I'll update y'all on the second round predictions. Nevertheless, though, I appreciate you guys for watching. As always, this is All Even Different. All Even Different. And we out.